Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I have a it's nice and simple card. So one that's great for new crafters, but also for us more experienced crafters that just want to do something that looks good but isn't too over complex, because maybe you've got a load to make, or you just need to make a quick card because you've forgotten a birthday or something. So this is a Hunkydory set. As always, if you go on across to the blog post, I will list all the details of the products used, and it's got all these different animals in the collection, and I've chosen these gorgeous little giraffes and the matching cardstock. So what I've done is I've taken A4 cardstock, I've cut it across the short side to make it 7 inches tall, and then I am scoring 7 inches from the side that's going to be the inside back. So basically what I'm making is a 7x7 card, but the front flap is at the moment uncovered and also is obviously short. I'm actually going to cut that front flap down to 4 inches, and that actually brings it to in line with that sort of line on the front of the design. I would have adjusted it if it's sort of sat straight in the middle, but what I was trying to do was show the giraffes on the front but not over, just sort of so they were kind of half peeking out, not all of it was out. So I thought that looked kind of cute. What I then did was take a second piece of this cardstock. It had the giraffes and everything on again the same, but I just took the side that had that line on it. I cut it to the 4 inches. I didn't worry about the height. I always find it's much simpler, just in case you very slightly got it off, if you've done it 7 inches and a little bit or something, it's much easier to put it on this way and then cut it to size once it's dry. Now it's coated cardstock. I used a wet glue, so I popped it on and then put it to one side, and I haven't cut it out yet. So then I went back to the original sheet and I cut out that lovely border. I also cut some of the layers because it came with a decoupage sheet. Now there was a lot of layers, so I just picked a couple. Now, very unusually for Hunkydory, these were not very well cut through. I think it just must have been one of those things. So I actually picked out a few layers that were a little bit easier, and I had to use my craft knife not just for where the notches were, but for a few areas where it just hadn't cut through properly. But once I did that, it was fine, and it came out okay, but it made it a little bit of a pain to do. I then put foam tape on the back. This is Hunkydory foam tape. I'm just speeding up the putting it on to the actual front here. So I've just taken my layers and I'm just sticking them down. Now normally, as you know, I would probably put some wet glue on, but as I said, this is coated cardstock. Now it's okay when I'm doing just that matting on the front of the card, but when I'm doing something like this, to have to wait in between each layer for it to really dry is a pain, and if you don't, it starts slipping and sliding all over the place. So I just decided to take a risk. It's only a few layers, and just use the foam tape. It's pretty good foam tape, so I think it should be okay. So now once I've done that, the front is all dry nicely, so I just cut the excess off using a pair of scissors. So now we've got a 7x7 card with a 4-inch front, and obviously the back is 7x7, so the front is 7x4 and the back is 7x7 is what I'm trying to say. Again, I will put those details on the blog post for you. And then I just took my corner chomper there and I just took some corners off that front flap. Now if you wanted to, you could also do it on the back, but I rather liked that contrast. And then we're putting a little round sentiment there on the actual back, and it's just bringing that round element to the back part. So I just felt it kind of worked, because then we're putting the layer on the front element, which is kind of square and straight, so I thought it just brought it all together, so that the round element to the back and the square element to the front, and matching it all in together. Just a visual thing. I don't think it makes any difference. And as you can see, I'm then taking that border and I'm covering over the line that was already there with this sort of foiled border, because I just thought that would add a little something extra. Again, I'm leaving it to dry while I'm just putting on some of these they're like little metal, well, they're like little pearls really, but kind of metal rivets almost, the look of them, and these are gold and they just look really nice. So I did 3 in that top corner there, and then I cut off the excess, and I actually go back later and I add some more, but at this point I wasn't sure because I hadn't added the front whether I needed it. So we're matching those 2 points up with the front. So if you do have the exact same one, you know what exactly I'm doing. And then obviously because of that, I don't want the glue on that leading edge there that I pointed to, because obviously that's going to be hanging over and you don't want that gluing to the back of the card. So just make sure that you leave glue off the bit that you need. So many times I've done it the wrong side and end up doing it. Now, just to be double sure, because it's very easy for the glue just to seep out, and again I use wet glue here because it's got a few layers and I wanted it to be nice and strong, and so I waited for that to dry, and then, as I said, I just had to fiddle around. It did keep sliding, and I just kept moving it until it was in the right position. And then, as I said earlier, I just decided to add a couple more of the gems. Well, I call them gems, but they were like little metal bits into the other corners. And that really is it. It's really a very simple card, but I love how it looks. The sentiment is really cute, and the layering with the decoupage just finishes it off really nicely as well, just gives an extra bit of dimension. So it, again, as I always say to you, if you're new at crafting, something like this is actually really easy to make, but it looks really effective, and the reason it looks good is because you're using good quality materials, and that makes a massive difference. When you're learning and starting out in craft, it's really tempting to start using the cheaper materials and stuff, but you just will never be happy with the finished results because it just doesn't ever come out good. Even if you do a great design, because it's cheaper materials, it just doesn't finish off nicely. So I would always recommend, just investing a little bit more into that and coming up with some simple designs like this, which actually don't look simple, but they really are. So anyway, that is it for this week. As always, as I said earlier, do go on across to the blog post. I always put tons of photos. Those of you that know me know that. And also I add links to the products used as well. So that's all there for you. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you like the finished card, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now. Bye.